everybody, we are back. I did record for episode 4, but the sound screwed up, and I didn't care enough to go back and try to re-record it. So you don't get episode 4, which was stupid anyway. It was just stupid. If you want to watch Unexplained and Unexplored episode 4, I suggest you go watch America Unearthed by Scott Walter, the episode about killing Meriwether Lewis. It's the exact same episode. So today we're gonna try to push through this and get 2 episodes watched. You're only gonna watch one of them. We're gonna record two episodes and then, whatever. Mainly so I can get this done. Mainly because I'm gonna be on vacation all of March. So everything that you will be seeing coming out in March, because I am scheduling things, will be stuff that I have pre-recorded and scheduled to go up. So, that nothing bad happens while I'm gone, because I won't be near internet much. But it's not really vacation. I'm riding the train to Texas. Anyway, I'm riding the train to Texas and riding the train back, and then I'm going to be in Texas for about a week doing research and visiting families. So I won't have internet, is my point. So we're going to watch Unexplained and Unexplored, episode 5, The Lost Ark of the Covenant. Now, please recall that we have already within this season done an episode about the Templars in America, where we supposedly tracked the movements of the Templar Knights to America and through America, and made the assumption that they were carrying with them both the Ark of the Covenant and the Holy Grail. So we are now going to go look for the Ark of the Covenant somewhere here, but not in the possession of Knights Templar or whatever. I don't know. I kind of sort of watched this one and skipped it. I don't like this series. I don't really have any other way to explain it to you. It's not great. I'm sure the 2 hosts are very nice guys, but they're very boring. They don't know what they're talking about. You can tell on both accounts. And this just isn't a very well put together TV series in general. It's just not very interesting. Especially since I have watched a lot of these shows. Like, I've watched pretty much everything that's come out in the past too many freaking years. 4 or 5 years. It all runs together, but at least they try to put their own spin on it. This isn't even trying to put its own spin on it. They're just regurgitating what Scott Walter has done. Now, I honestly can't recall if Scott Walter has tried to locate the Ark of the Covenant. I would be kind of surprised if he hadn't, but I don't honestly remember the episode if he did. So we're gonna follow these 2 guys around. I've already sped them up, so I am watching their show at a much faster speed than would have been watched. If you are speeding me up, which I highly recommend, you're gonna be watching them at like lightning speed, so just FYI. But, no, my tea is not good, but I'm drinking it anyway because I hate wasting tea. Alright, let's do this.
Ancient map of the biblical world could hold clues to the location of one of the most holy objects ever created, the Ark of the Covenant.
Also, this whole map tie-in thing is really getting annoying. Like, none of these maps that he's using are difficult to get hold of copies of. They're all copies, which is fine. I don't care. What I do care about is they're trying to hype all of these maps throughout this entire season as something difficult to get a hold of, or ancient and secret, mystical, magical. Nobody knows about these maps, and most of them are like stock images. Like, seriously, they're stock image maps. It's driving me crazy, but anyway.
After the fall of Jerusalem, is it possible that ancient Hebrews smuggled this powerful relic out of their homeland?
See, who smuggled it out? The ancient Hebrews or the Templars?
If the Ark of the Covenant is as important as it's been depicted, they would have fled here.
Stop shooting while you're driving!
Following clues in the world's most famous ancient map,
just south of Egypt, it says Ethiopia Fub Egypto.
we'll journey down the Nile, through the land of the pharaohs. and into the remote Ethiopian highlands.
Is the Ark still here? They're holy places that no outsider has ever reached at.
To scale sheer cliff sides. What a perfect place to hide the Ark.
I do vaguely remember this one. I will give them credit. Whoever set this one up, and I think I know who that was, whoever set these up did a really good job of sending them to places that are at least somewhat connected to the Ark of the Covenant. Ethiopia is not a very well-known location outside of certain circles as being the last home of the Ark of the Covenant. So the fact that they even went to Ethiopia was really surprising to me in this one. And then the teeny tiny church that they find later, I know spoilers, but I don't care. The coolest thing in this whole episode is the church they get to go to at the very freaking end of this episode. And they spend like 5 minutes there. I'm really irritated. It's a really cool church.
The Ark of the Covenant, a golden container said to be crafted under the specification of God himself to hold the Ten Commandments.
The Ark is something that every adventurer dreams of finding. This is an item that both legend and the Bible say had the power to stop rivers in their path, destroy armies, make entire cities crumble. Not only was it a gift from God, but it was also looked upon as this terrifying weapon.
So I guess this begs the question, is the Ark of the Covenant a biblical fable, or is it a real object? Does it actually exist? And if it is real, where is it?
According to the Bible, the Jewish people received the Ark of the Covenant from Moses, and they took it to the city of Jerusalem to protect it.
And then in 940 BC, King Solomon built a temple in Jerusalem, which was specifically built to house the Ark itself. Now, the Ark lived protected inside the walls of that temple for centuries, until 587 BC, where the Babylonians conquered Jerusalem, sacked the temple, and the Ark mysteriously disappeared.
All right, so here's the deal. I know I'm checking my phone, because that's how little I care about this. Here's the deal. They are stating biblical stories, again, as if they are verified fact, which they are not. And that right there tells you that anything and everything that this show is based off of is complete and utter bullshit, because the premises of this show is the Bible is true. And I'm not slamming people who worship biblical gods. Do you? You do what you gotta do, as long as everybody's a consenting adult and nobody's getting hurt. Usually I don't give a shit. What I do care about is when you're trying to present something as academic fact when it is not. And as much as we all enjoy the Bible, and we all have to deal with the Bible on a daily basis because it's in every freaking thing in the world, at least in America, it is not verified fact. There are bits and pieces of the Bible that correspond with real world history, but the Bible itself is not historical fact as far as academics and scientists are concerned. If you want to believe in the Bible as a religious text, you go. You do. You have a good time. I really don't care. But when you start off a show where you claim you are factually looking for a real life object, and your premises and your starting point is there was once this story in the Bible, that is a questionable story to begin with. Everything else after this point is bullcrap. Like, that's all I can say to you. Everything after this point is crap.
Is the Ark of the Covenant mentioned? So that puts forth the idea that perhaps the Jewish people were able to take the Ark out of Jerusalem before the Babylonians ever got there. But
or it never existed.
If they got it out, where did they take it? I think
it never existed. It vanished into the air. God took it back up because he's God and he can do anything.
An ancient artifact calls for an ancient map.
An ancient artifact calls for an ancient map. Here, let me reach over into my clearly reprinted rolls of maps. I wonder if those are all the same map. So that way when he reaches over, he can't, like, not grab the wrong map.
So here we are in Kankalili. It's built in 1382. It is one of the world's largest open-air markets or bazaars, and it's just a treasure trove of anything interesting that you can ever find in Cairo.
I don't really care about, well, these lights are pretty cool, but I didn't really care about those shiny gold things, but whatever that man was carrying on his head that looked edible, I am that person that if I go to another country, I will eat the food and get sick, but I will enjoy the hell out of it in the process, and then spend 2 weeks cursing the life that I live, and then turn around and do it again. No, I don't learn from my mistakes.
From Jerusalem to Egypt. They could have come to a place just like this to load up on food and supplies during their secret mission to smuggle the Ark out of their homeland during the Babylonian invasion.
What? Okay, no. So the fleeing Hebrews who are smuggling the Ark of the Covenant, which, by the way, can't be touched by anyone except priests or you'll die, somehow also came into Cairo, Egypt, back in biblical times, because clearly the two places looked exactly the same, and walked through their open air bazaar and bought all of their supplies that they needed whilst trying to keep the Ark of the Covenant undercover? Really? No. Also, Cairo didn't look like this back then. Did Cairo even exist?
When the Babylonians come along, Egypt was really the one true ally that the Jewish people had in the region. I mean, based on the map we looked at, it's clear that the trail of the Jewish people fleeing Jerusalem goes cold in Egypt. So this...
Don't the Babylonians exist before Egypt?
It would make perfect sense that, they would have fled here. And if the Ark of the Covenant is as important as it's been depicted throughout the Bible, then it should be here. Then this is the place it should be, man. Absolutely.
If the Ark is as important as it was, and if the Hebrews were fleeing the Babylonians, Egypt was the only safe place to go, ergo the Ark of the Covenant must be in Egypt.
To uncover whether the Jewish people could have brought the Ark to Egypt, we're headed 10 miles to the outskirts of Cairo, to an area where many Jewish people settled after the fall of Jerusalem.
Supposedly.
Good morning.
Hello. Morning.
Emiliano, great to meet you.
Lord
Justin,
Lawson.
pleasure.
Lori Lawson is the president of the Petrosque Bible Institute in Cairo, Egypt, and has spent her life studying the Ark of the Covenant and where it could have gone.
I really like that shirt. Before we go anywhere else, I really like that shirt.
We're trying to find out about the Ark of the Covenant.
Was it even a real thing?
The ancient Hebrews thought it was a real thing. They treated it like a real object. And the book of Exodus describes it in real terms. It talks about it as a box with a lid, a box that's a little over 1 meter long, and it's made of acacia wood. It was covered in gold and had rings so that you could put poles through because it's carried.
Right, okay. Rendering it practical.
Exactly.
For
exactly.
movement.
The fact that the Ark was designed with mobility in mind makes the notion that the Jewish people were trying to smuggle this holy relic throughout the Egyptian desert a lot more feasible.
Okay, the only thing that she has said here, and I'm not knocking her, I'm just saying, what she has said is the Hebrew people treat the idea of the Ark of the Covenant as a real object. So the idea of the Ark is real to many Hebrew people. It's real to many Christian peoples too. She did not say that it is an actual object. She also said that it is spoken of as if it were real, and it is described in real terms in the biblical texts. It's fine. Still, not a verification that it is real. Again, she is simply stating that the idea of the Ark is treated as a real thing. These are tricks that you really got to listen for, because her words will now be twisted to the Ark of the Covenant is real, even though that's not what she said.
Jeremiah 44 from the prophet Jeremiah, who lived in the same time period when the Babylonians are coming, gives us a hint about where it may have gone. The most logical place to take precious things is Migdal, Tapanhes, Memphis, and then South Egypt.
So, which one of these locations do you think is the most likely place the Ark would have been smuggled to?
If you think about it, the Babylonians are east and north. The places over here, the Jewish people, they're not going to run from the Babylonians and stay in a place where the Babylonians could come and get them easily. So it becomes safer and safer and safer as you go south.
Which sits on the northern tip of this 600-mile area.
Because you couldn't wait for the boat to dock, which it's clearly going to do. You needed to jump off of it together, synchronized onto the shore. Because clearly, judging by this other boat over here, that boat could not have... I don't get it. Anyway, what was I going to say? I was going to say something profound. Guess not.
Nothing like a little midday sun in the desert.
Yeah.
So essentially, the discovery of these papyri has really established the fact that there was an important Jewish settlement on the island.
Exactly.
But is there anything about the Ark of the Covenant itself?
No, there is no mention of the Ark directly. But we have evidence of a Jewish temple.
A temple being built on this island.
Yes. We have a document here that our fathers had built.
Okay, but you have a significant Jewish population living here. Of course they're going to build a Jewish temple. What's the first thing religious groups do? They establish a holy seat.
That temple in the city of Elephantine. This is
Now, that is, again, I'm not faulting her. I'm faulting the way that the show is choosing to portray her. And the fact that these two can't put two and two together between there's a large Jewish settlement and there's a temple. There's a temple? Yeah, there were Jews.
is something so profound. We have to bear in mind, it's not like today's society where we have synagogues everywhere. It's quite significant to have a temple outside of Jerusalem.
So the fact that there's a Jewish temple on Elephantine Island is a massive deal. The only other temple in this time period is the Temple of Solomon in Jerusalem, which was created to house the Ark of the Covenant.
That's not what she said. That is not even close what she said. She said it's unusual to have a temple outside of Jerusalem. Not that the only temple at the time was the temple in Jerusalem.
So the fact that there's a second temple seems as if it would have had a profound purpose. So if, let's see, Jerusalem was sacked 587, do we have any records of when the temple was built on Elephantine?
We don't have a direct date, but we do know from around 600 BC to 500 BC, the temple is there.
We need to get on the island. Who knows what we can find? This could have been the house of the Ark.
Absolutely.
You have no evidence for that whatsoever. No reason to assume that. No reason to be jumping to that conclusion.
Exactly the type of location that would make sense for a high-value object.
Still, no evidence that the Ark is there. But I am looking forward to seeing this
The
site.
geological elements of this location seem
I think
like
I skipped
it's
this
a
part
natural
last time.
fortress, good vantage point of incoming and outgoing visitors, and also it was a good place to protect objects of significance.
Yeah, definitely.
Does she know they're looking for the Ark?
Just 500 feet from the shore of Elephantine Island are ancient ruins where the Jewish temple is said to be located.
Here we are.
Wow, take a look at that.
Yes, what we're actually looking at here are the ruins of many different
I'm sorry. Eddie Izzard has ruined me. What we're actually looking at here is a series of small walls.
settlements from the last 5,000 years, including the temple the Jews built. It was destroyed in 410 BC. And since then, it's been almost completely built over.
So when they decided to build a temple, what did it look like?
Well, from what we have in the papyri, we know that the doors were made of cedarwood, that some of the hinges were in bronze, that it had an enclosure wall, probably made of mud brick, and it had 5 stone gateways with pillars. It's supposed to look like the Temple of Solomon. Nearly an exact replica.
An exact replica of the Temple of Solomon.
Yeah.
Wow. The Ark of the Covenant was originally stored in Solomon's temple in Jerusalem. So this is strong evidence that this temple was built to do the same.
No, it's not. It's not even close to strong evidence. All you have is that there is a temple here and that it was built to resemble Solomon's temple in Jerusalem, which, if you were going to build a Jewish temple, why would you not make it look like every other Jewish temple? Have you noticed most churches look alike?
Is this enormous wall of rock. You feel like you're really arriving to somewhere ancient, somewhere sacred, somewhere really special.
Outsiders are forbidden to visit Tanakirkos. The only way onto the island is to be permitted access by the monks who live there.
Guys, just anybody? I'm Ainakulu.
Ainakulu?
Liliana. Ainakulu. Nice to meet you.
Deacon Anakulu Mulugeta has lived at the monastery on Tanakirkos for 15 years. Without his permission, we can go no further onto the island.
Okay, what was your purpose to be here today? We've been on a really long journey, so I'm going to be completely honest with you. We're essentially looking for where the Ark of the Covenant might have been, where it might have ended up, and where it is now. Oh, it's nice. Come on and follow me in.
Lead the way, Anakulu.
Yeah, I also find it really hard to believe that no one informed this dude of what was happening before these two guys showed up. So, clearly he already knew what was going on. Also, he seems like a really nice guy.
We're unsure exactly where Deacon Anakulu is leading us, but with him granting us unprecedented access to the island, we're going to follow him wherever he takes us.
It's not
So this is one of the historic and iconic places.
After a 2-mile hike to the interior of the island, we reach a small hut perched on the mountaintop.
He acts like 2 miles is like forever. Like, most people can walk 2 miles in a half hour.
Early Judaistic custom roots long back to the story of the journey of Menelik. When he was age 20, he went to visit his father Solomon. Together with the Ark of the Covenant, they came to Ethiopia.
Many Ethiopians believe Menelik's father was King Solomon, who built a temple to house the Ark in Jerusalem, and Menelik's mother was Queen of Ethiopia. According to Deacon Anakulu, at the age of 20, Menelik was ordered by his father to secretly bring the Ark to Ethiopia. And then they came to this island, they came to Tanakirkos with the Ark of the Covenant?
Yeah. Is there any actual proof that the Ark made it to this very place?
Yes, this is where you are standing. The Ark is kept.
Here, on this stone.
On this rock
This is where the Ark was kept?
Kept here.
On this stone?
Yeah.
Thousands of years ago.
Yeah. You can see the holes.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
Now, what's happening here? Hey, I really like this story because I think it's interesting that there's an entire group of people that truly, honestly believe that the Ark of the Covenant was here. It also kind of thrills me that it's in Ethiopia. I have a soft spot for Ethiopia. But, no offense to any of these people, there's no actual physical evidence. Yes, there's some carvings in the rocks, and they definitely have an oral history. Like, clearly they have an oral history that traces the Ark there. As far as hardcore physical evidence, though, it's not really what we would need. Also, I think if we were to sit down and match up the timelines that these two guys are running off of versus the timeline that they just got told by the monk, I don't think those timelines are going to match up, which is not unusual for these types of shows. Math and time usually get left behind in the pursuit of a good story. So there you have that. That's my only caveat. I'm not saying that these people didn't have something that they thought was the Ark of the Covenant, or that they truly believed, or that, hell, maybe it even was the Ark of the Covenant. But there's no physical evidence of it.
አባን ማናገር እንፈልጋለን ብለው ነበር እና ምን ትላለህ? እዚህ ድረስ መምጣታቸውን ትልቅ ነገር አመሰግናለሁ። So he just told me this is the place where the Ark is kept.
Did you just say that the Ark of the Covenant is in the church over here?
That is what he told me. The Ark has been kept by one person all these years, a caretaker.
So there's one person who stays with the Ark.
Exactly. This person dedicates all his life to be with the Ark until he dies, basically. He is the only person on the face of the earth allowed to see the Ark.
Can you see if we can possibly get a 3-minute conversation with him?
Anything. Basically, for safety and security reasons, the chance of talking to the caretaker is impossible. He doesn't talk to anyone. He's not allowed.
Myself and Emiliano, we're trying to give proof to the physical, tangible existence of the Ark of the Covenant, but clearly, there's no way for the two of us to get inside and see the Ark for ourselves. So I think you and I are going to have to accept that we're at a dead end.
Well, not necessarily. In Ethiopia, there are over 50,000 churches, and every single church has at least one replica of the Ark of the Covenant. In my opinion, there are so many ways of keeping the Ark somewhere safe. Could be here, could be anywhere. What if I were to tell you that many believe that this church here is where they want you to believe that the Ark is hiding, but there is actually a much more secure place in the middle of nowhere where very few people have ever looked.
I think this is the other thing that we're just failing to take away, and I think these guys are failing to take away too. And I kind of giggle a little bit at it. I think we're almost to the end. Oh, thank God, yes. Let's pretend like the Ark is real, and let's pretend like they actually find somehow, these two dweebs find the one church that is actually housing the Ark of the Covenant. They've been keeping it safe for how many? They've been keeping it safe for how many thousands of years? And these two yahoos are going to walk up and they're going to be like, oh yeah, it's right here. Come here, let me show you on camera. Like, let us pretend that it is a real thing. No one in their right minds is going to show two random dudes and a camera crew their ancient holy relic that they've been smuggling around Egypt and Africa and the Middle East for generations just because they walked up and knocked on the door and were like, hey man, we're like totally looking for like the Ark of the Covenant. Why? Because we want to know if it's real or not.
It makes a lot of sense to me. Why not lead everybody to one place while you're hiding it somewhere else? If really you have the Ark of the Covenant.
And did these two really think they were going to locate the Ark of the Covenant? Like, when they got pitched this idea, were they like, oh yeah, man, that's rad. We're totally going to go find the thing that no one else has been able to find ever. Yeah.
Protection as your ultimate objective. What better way to distract them?
Which also tells me that this entire episode is pointless, and I'm gonna quit pausing now.
Potential enemies, or thieves, or destroyers of the Ark.
They literally looped film footage. Also, I would like to point out that so many people have been climbing this. You can't see my finger. You'll notice where his... Go away, you. You'll see where his feet are gonna go. These are actually have been worn down by people. There's been so many people over so many years coming out here. And, I mean, they have to climb. I think that kind of thing is cool. Sorry. Unrelated to anything. I think it's neat.
Up here.
You can see where the rocks are all smoothed down from people touching them.
We're at the top of this cliff.
Look at that view, buddy.
Gorgeous. And there's just this beautiful expanse, as far as the eye can see.
What a place. Unbelievable.
It's absolutely breathtaking, until you realize the most dangerous part of the journey is yet to come. All right, see you in a bit.
Taking the view.
Okay. Separating us from the entrance to this church, there's essentially a narrow ledge off the side of this cliff with a 1,000-foot drop. One false step, and you're done. The only thing to do is to brave and just go for it.
Look at this. This is the church. This is the one.
Why do they have to do everything in unison sometimes? Like...
Hello.
Welcome to our church.
May we come in?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Can we come on off the ledge, please?
As you walk into this place, I mean,
Isn't that beautiful?
I've never seen anything like it. The walls are covered.
And this is beautiful. It's gorgeous. And this is all we get to see of it.
And these gorgeous illustrations smell.
I'm not like, oh my god, I can't believe they didn't go further into the church, the tabernacle, the area, because they don't belong. Like, I get that. They don't belong in this space. But they don't ask any questions about it. They don't ask about the stories that are being told on the walls here. They don't ask about how this was painted, who painted it, why this mountain. You know, they don't ask any questions that are pertinent to the church here. It's just a complete waste of time.
Smells like incense. I mean, this place is ancient. It's mystical. This would be the perfect place to hide the Ark. We've traveled a long, long way to get here. We've been seeking the Ark of the Covenant.
We're seeing the possibility that it might be here in this church.
He's not here.
I did not appreciate the goofy smile that they just gave this elder. Anyway.
Is there any chance he knows where the Ark is?
The Ark is somewhere hidden.
This place is completely isolated. It takes.
And that man was giving them... That guy did not want them there. Like, I don't know how that guy can make it more clear to them that he's not going to give them anything. And, again, this is my point, because I think that wraps up right about now. Let's pretend again that the Ark is real. These guys may even be at the place where the Ark is. Like, that dude's gonna tell them.
It's an impossible trek to make it here. It would be a perfect place to hide the Ark.
Beautiful
But
artwork.
based on everything we've learned, if the Ark isn't here, my gut says that it's hidden somewhere close.
For over 2 millennia, the true location of the Ark of the Covenant has remained a mystery. But thanks to clues hidden in ancient maps of the biblical world,
What would have been a safe place for them to settle?
South Egypt.
we've determined that the Ark could have not only been a real artifact, but that it may have been smuggled out of Jerusalem, through Egypt, and into Ethiopia.
They literally cut that to make it sound like she said the safe place for them to settle would be South Egypt, and that's not what she said at all. South Egypt was one of the places she listed off, and then later they asked her, where do you think they would go? And she said the further you got from Egypt, the safer you would be. And then they spliced in right there her saying South Egypt, which is not what actually occurred. That's not the conversation that actually happened. And I realize that it's nitpicky, but the fact that they blatantly did that really irritates me, because how much of the rest of this show has been edited in such a way that you don't know what conversation is organic and what conversation has been clipped together. So thanks for sharing that little obfuscation there. Oops.
Not only been a real artifact, but that it may have been smuggled out of Jerusalem.
Jason. Alright, I am not impressed with the show. This one was fun only because they went somewhere new. They went to Ethiopia. I like Ethiopia. I think it's pretty. I like their culture. What I know of it. It's hot there. I will probably never go visit, to be perfectly frank with you. And I will never go to that temple that is up on the mountain there because nope. Just nope. Let's pretend like I actually managed to climb up that damn thing. I'm not coming down. Like, I'll live there. I'm going to die up there. I will be in that small little hole that they found. Again, I don't really appreciate that them showing human remains, quite a few human remains, and just kind of poking at them and gawking at them and oh my god, like they've never seen human remains before. Both of them are supposed to be like veteran explorers and stuff. I mean, could you not act like you're 5 when you see what is clearly a grave of some sort? How many of those things did they stick their hand in there to touch and move around? And it's just like... Also, I don't appreciate that they were even on camera to begin with. It was incredibly disrespectful, in my opinion, and any show that does that kind of crap for no reason, because there was no reason for those to be... It's not even like they were like, oh, I'm trying to educate you by showing you this particular thing. No, they just straight up wanted to put human remains on here for shock value. Screw you. I'm done being nice about that. Screw you. Yeah, so bonuses this episode. Lots of representation, lots of female authorities, not based in the normal Eurocentric locations. That's about it. That's about it. The rest of it's absolute crap. So, I hope you guys are enjoying my pain and my suffering and the sacrifice that I make for you. If you do, please be sure to like and subscribe. And if you really appreciate the physical pain that this puts me through, head on over to Patreon or Ko-fi and give us a small donation if you can. If you can't, I understand. Leave us a comment. I would love to have comments, especially conversation starters. So yeah, if you could interact with our poor suffering channel, that would be fantastic. And until I see you guys again, remember to think critically.